careful of those island boys. Little girl, use your head. They will tear you up like a paper toy. Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, no, no, no.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Rumbi.
Welcome to It's Layered.
We're in a long-distance friendship that started over 20 years ago when we were in high school.
We'll be talking about all things life, love, family, anything and everything else under the sun.
Delve deeper with us because in life, you know, Gine, my layers.
Oh my gosh, Rumbi, we're back!
Back like not a bad rash, but like we back.
Oh, that sounds so tame now. I'm back. You can say a bad rash, it's okay.
Okay, we back like a bad rash. Season 4. Can't believe it, but we here. No, I'm joking. How are you since we last spoke?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Someone just had a birthday.
Oh, yes, 35. Yeah. 35th floor, as they say.
Is that what they say? Okay.
welcome.
Welcome.
Then you stop counting.
How does it feel? Can you believe, Amanda, where we at? Like, I'm literally just like...
Girl, I feel like sometimes I'm not 15. I feel like I'm 23. Yeah. But I know I'm not.
Yeah. The body then tells you, like, oh, can't get that low no more.
Girl, the knees. No, I don't know. Megan knees. That skipped me a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time. The cartilage be crackling. It's like.
How are you, my love? How's everything going?
Look at me choking over cartilage. I am good. Autumn is in full effect, hence polo necks. But good, like settling back into life, routine.
Yeah, after the wedding vibes.
Yeah, a lot has happened. So yeah, I'm good. Just out here trying to survive, trying to thrive. What we going to be talking about today? Whoa,
we're just starting from the beginning, right? Even like just heading right in colonialism, bruh. Like not even like leading. You put gently. We're just like Lizzy died. We talk about this. No time to breathe. We're just gonna step on people's necks with such a heavy topic. People
from the jump. Yeah. Dang, son. Hey, yo. Yeah, colonialism. I feel like I talk about this almost every week without fail. Like it comes up in conversation almost every week. I don't know about other people who come from colonized countries, but it be a topic of conversation because you know what's his name? Kenya Barris, you know, Blackish.
Mm-hmm.
The Blackish creator, writer, whatever.
Yeah.
He always talks about slavery. Everything goes back to slavery. For me, everything always goes back to colonialism. I'm always like,
that's our origin story. Like it literally is. Like, unfortunately, it really, really is.
Yeah. So, to begin with, when did you even realize that colonialism existed? Like, when did it actually register?
I don't know if it actually like ever, like obviously there's a time it did register, like this happened, but I think because you grow up as a colony, is this part of your history. Yeah. So it was like, I can't even remember a time when it was before. It was just like always from the beginning. Yeah. Like as I was learning that I come from Zimbabwe, I was learning whatever I was learning as I was growing up, 3, 4, 5 years old. It just is part of the story, you know? And even if you look at the way we like, you know, eat our meals or the choices of foods or whatever it is that we have that are integral to our daily life, it's tied in with that. So I think it just was just like, oh yeah, you're a British colony, and it's just like something you just knew from the get-go. I don't think I had a moment where I was like, I was just like, oh yeah, you know, this is the way it is. What about for you?
It's so normalized, as you put it. Like it's so normalized, you actually then don't realize, like, actually, hold up, wait a minute. I think a distinct memory I have where it really hit me, there was a time we were traveling, I think to Chinoi with my parents. I think it was high school, if not, it was late primary school. And they were explaining some history of the region. And they're like, don't you know this information? Didn't you learn this at school? I was like, how sway? Like, when were we going to learn this? And then she's like, didn't you do Zimbabwean? Like, my parents were like, didn't you do Zimbabwean history at school? And I was like, So it was definitely high school. We were doing European history. We did, you know, like the American Revolution, French Revolution, Cold War, First and Second World War. Like, that's what we did. And my parents were like literally dumbfounded. They were like, how can you not learn this? Then I really realized, like, oh my goodness, a portion of my history has been erased for me, literally.
Yeah.
Literally. And yeah, I think that's where it was a real like wake up call of how colonization really works, you know.
Yeah. Like you thought, oh yeah, this is the way it is. Then you realize there's like this whole other history that we're not really taught. Like especially going to A schools, which we've talked about before. I think we've covered in a previous episode about how even when you learn our history from these private schools, they don't tend to want to focus on, you know, this very checkered past. And yeah, I think that's actually quite a good point that in schools, you just don't find out about it from anywhere else.
It's like how in America, I believe in some schools, when they talk about slavery, there was somewhere I read, there were like some volunteer work. Someone used, like they use that term for children about slaves. I was like, wait, what? Hold up. Something crazy in one of those crazy states. So yeah, it's one of those where you really realize how deep it is. And for you, how would you describe, I think we're already touching a little bit on the effect of colonization, colonialism in our lives. Like, how would you describe the effects for people who don't know?
I think you said it best. It's tied into everything we do. Like the effect is like, I can't imagine life without it because life comes with it. Like it's just like from Zimbabwe, there's no way you can deny it. Pretty much put our whole history and our whole way of life on a different course, a different path. More so, I think, especially for like African cultures, because the way we live in the Western world is so different from like how our great grandfathers and mothers lived, you know? So I think like its effect is just, it's so obvious, it's tangible. You know that this is because of colonialism. You know, I speak English because of colonialism, you know? So it's like, you know, do I go to church like in a Christian setup because of, you know, missionaries coming through? So it's like all these things that is just like undeniably, it's intricate in the way we live our lives. And it ties to your
identity as well. Isn't it crazy? It literally defines who you are in ways. Which is insane. Like
like personal, like even on a personal level, I think of it as I was colonized by the British, and it is because if someone says, "Oh, I thought you're from the UK," I'm like, tracks. You know what I mean? Like it's like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't think I'm from a francophone country, and I'm sure people who come from francophone countries, the French way of living, and they probably be like, "Oh yeah, it's," you know." So it's like, it's just 100%. Even on a personal level.
That's why when you speak to someone like a Zimbabwean, a Jamaican, like we can have like some levels of like understanding, or
for sure,
because of who colonized us. For sure.
It's like unspoken.
Absolutely.
Is it the same for you?
Totally. And I've said this before on previous episodes, it's actually affected like my whole being in this country, doing the job and the work I do is because of colonialism. If I did not speak English, I would not be doing this job and I would not be here. So it's literally defined the trajectory of my life. I even see it at work, like, you know, when discussing certain ways of doing things in the British school system, I can relate to my other colleague who had similar, because it's the same way. And it's like, flip, man, it really tracks across, like it's kept across the way. It's such an integral part of my life.
Can you even imagine life without it though?
I can't. I feel like I wouldn't be who I am now if I didn't have it, which is sad to say, but also reality. It's like, I'll be, of course, a different version of who I am, but it's such an, like, I read books in English. I watch films in English. I dress a certain way. I appreciate high tea. Thank you, Brits. I love me an English breakfast. Thank you again. You know, in the small and the large, it's such a part of me. I can't say I can imagine life. I don't know about you, if you feel different.
Nah. I think also it's quite unfair because we've never lived life without it.
Yes.
So yes. I don't know if maybe for our grandparents, maybe even for our parents, there would be that cusp, maybe. Yes. But even then, I think missionaries came through, not that was colonialism as such, but they came through quite a while ago. So even thinking of a way of life before is not so tangible anymore. So it's like I have nothing to compare to, right? This is just life as I know it.
Complete erasure. And I think, to be fair, I do think missionaries were the first colonizers. They just came trying to befriending us.
Yep, came with that Bible. They were like,
yeah, exactly.
Who told you?
Don't even get me started on religion as a means to control, because totally.
Yeah, we need to put a pin in that one and think about religion in its own episode because, and then definitely tie this back in because that is undeniable that our way of life again was changed by something that essentially was not for our people.
Yeah, exactly. And what do you think have been the major drawbacks for you of colonization and being colonized? How has it affected your life, maybe in a negative way?
I think for me, it's been an identity crisis. I'm not English, but am I Zimbabwean? You know, like, and then people can really like look at it superficially and be like, oh, what is Zimbabwe? You know, but what is, okay, cool. But if my great granddad was to come down and see me, would he recognize me? You know, would he, I know nothing about my culture on a deeper level. You know, we, especially because unfortunately for African history, and we have these beautiful drawings of like in caves and stuff, but there's nothing actually documented.
Yes.
Which is, you know, obviously we didn't really have like reading, like literature as a thing.
Yeah.
So it also almost feels like I've got no way to really know if I'm being authentically Zimbabwean. You know what I mean? I'm the Zimbabwean now, authentically Zimbabwean as Zimbabweans are now today.
Yeah.
But I would never know what I could have been like wearing a loincloth, you know, living my life simple.
Yeah.
No bills. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just I'm simplifying it, but I'm just trying to say like
100%.
I will never ever know. We've also been sold, and maybe I'm going to tangent here, a dream of it wasn't the good way to live.
Yeah.
But it's like, who told you that? Yes. That my great-great-grandma wasn't happy in a loincloth with a kid on her back and, you know,
like we were
waiting
savages.
for a hunter-gatherer. Waiting for a hunter-gatherer husband to come home. Yeah. Who told you that their home wasn't a beautiful, peaceful space? You know, that they were living well with nature, that animals weren't like, no, who, like, it's like, oh yeah, we came through and we fixed up your life and we made it better. But it's like, who says? Yeah, exactly. So I think that's been the major drawback for me, not having the gift of choice.
Yes.
You know, you just thrust into this and live with it.
Yeah.
You know, at the same time, it's like, but why should I have to? These are not my people. This is not my way of, I can't trace back my culture to 200 years ago like you guys can, you know, because you stole that away from us. That is literally, and then you made us carbon copies, but then you don't really accept us in your world either.
Yes, it's like
if you want to make the English, make the English.
All the way. Y'all came uninvited. Nobody asked. You didn't knock and say, please, can we come in? You just came. And then for us, you're like, oh, no, you needed this, you needed that. You best be grateful you're having these, preach, testify.
And then you're still not enough. At the end of, even if I do everything, even if I wear a freaking top hat and start calling myself the Duchess, I will never be one. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, and you notice it a lot with Meghan Markle. And like, I know that's a whole, people have opinions about that, but she's American, which even makes it, you know, but it's like, even then they won't accept, like she can be as refined, but she'll never be. So it's like, so why did you even come and try to change me then?
And it's so interesting. It's been quite interesting. I don't know what your experience has been when I meet Brits, especially in spaces outside of Zimbabwe, Africa, like white spaces. And the curiosity and the way people look at you. And my sister, when she was here, we had an encounter and she expressed this too. There's this kind of like pondering like, how did you get here? And why you? How come you live this life you live? And then it's obviously the question, so where are you from? And then when you say it's like, okay, so you will never be good enough. There's always like a condescending, it's hard. If you know, and you've experienced it, like you understand what I'm saying, there's always this condescending thing of, oh, shame, you people come from this poor country, even though they don't realize that colonization did a huge number on us. Or they know, but it's kind of like, but you are beneath me, you will never be equal to me, even though you know, you came and put on your culture onto us, which is like a mind F.
Exactly.
It's just how is this normal? For sure.
And you'll never be the right kind of black anyway, because there is no such thing.
Exactly.
You know, even though they make that seem, even if I'm top tier,
yes,
it'll still be, but you're not me. You're not
exactly.
You know, and it's like, but I didn't want to be you. You guys forced this upon us, and now you're surprised that we're not. Like, you don't want to accept us either. Like, where are we meant to belong?
Yes.
So that's why the identity crisis for me comes into play, because it's like, where do I fit in? Like, seriously, where do I fit in?
And for me too, it's also this notion of white is right, and the closer to whiteness, we had it at school, right? Like, if you spoke in a certain accent, oh, you were gouache meaning like you know, unrefined. People laughing at you. The more poised, the more anglicized, white, the further away from African and black you were, the better you were. And it's so ingrained in culture, even in service, like how someone will see a white person and treat them so much better than their fellow black person. How as a black person, you have to prove yourself in work, in spaces. Like, it's so layered in, and it bleeds into so many facets of life. And it's like, so...
and it takes a second to realize it, right? I think that's also the thing for me, the mind F around it. Because it's like, you don't even think about, like what you just said. If you know, because you're like, okay, now when I take a step back, I can see. But if you look at it on surface level, you just think, oh, that's life. You know, some people were very flippant about it, because it's almost, if you start to dig, you literally are left exposed. Like, okay, so who am I? What am I doing? Like, you know, because it's like, it leaves you vulnerable and raw, because it really is like, okay, but why did you even start out with this whole thing? If your mission wasn't to obliterate us, like to completely destroy us and, you know, nullify us and we never existed, you want us to live alongside you, but in this tier system. So it's almost like from the beginning, it was rigged. The system was rigged from the beginning.
Set to fail from jump.
Yeah.
But, you know, we gotta, you know, sort of look at both sides of the coin, as it were. Any benefits for you of colonization or being colonized? Even the word benefit sounds a bit too... Like,
I know.
Without reparations,
I don't think so.
And
you know, the only one, and this is so superficial and so... capitalist, I suppose, of me, is being able to speak English. I think, obviously our world is much more global now, and we look to America for a lot of things, even if it's like comes to like, you know, entertainment, whatever. And then when you meet like, you know, even soccer stars or musicians who don't speak English, and they have to quickly learn, because obviously they're going to lose that market. And how people will sing a Beyonce song, but they can't actually speak English. Like, it shows you that, okay, English is quite, it infiltrates in a lot of ways. And I think that's the only thing where I'm like, when people see me now, like in Australia, oh, where did you learn your English? Oh, where did you? Which is very ignorant, but at the same time, it's like... Ignorant
AF.
Exactly. But it obviously shows that there's a difference. And obviously, we spoke about this before, in Australia, there's a lot of different people from different spaces. And we have obviously a big refugee section in our community. And obviously, they have to come here and learn all the ways to be within the Australian way of life. And obviously, the biggest thing is language.
Yes.
And it's an advantage to me that, you know, I can move in these spaces and I can also play the game, because you taught me how to play the game.
And I'm a player.
You know, when it comes to networking. Yeah, exactly. It comes to networking, comes to, you know, making sure you do things a certain way, quote unquote. It's because of colonization. You know, it's because you're taught from when you're a young child, this is how you serve tea. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. And you follow that way. And because that way is now become dominant, it's beneficial that you know it.
Yes, absolutely.
But,
I mean, for sure, like at school, we learned etiquette, like things like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's
yes. Etiquette. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. And I remember I used to be like, why do I got a flower arranged like in my head? It's like, but it plays off because, for example, again, when my sister was here, we went to watch the opera with her and my husband, and the stairs, people are looking at you like, what is this? This is a very cultured space. What are you doing here? And also be like, it's like, yeah, we're cultured, like as well. So learning that culture and people then fearing you less, which is a very sad thing to say. But
you're
literally,
palatable.
You're palatable. There's less fear. It's kind of like, oh, okay, we can F with you. That I think is kind of like the benefit, which is twisted and warped, but it is. You know,
it's only beneficial because it's allowing you to be in spaces that they usually close the door on you. So it's almost like, it's like, that's why I said it's very capitalist, because it's like, it's only because you want to make money, you want to get a better job, or you want to, that it becomes a benefit. But actually from a personal identity point of view, why? I shouldn't have to align myself with your way of life to feel included.
And I think it would be different if the option to be like, not colonized, to learn English was given to you, as opposed to it being given, you have to, the option to, because then it's like, yes, then you feel like it's my choice, and then I'm optionally being entering these spaces. But I speak English, and this is what trips people up being here as a native English speaker. It's like, no, but you're from Zimbabwe. It's like, yes, I grew up all my life speaking this language, and it's such a difficult thing for people to grasp, but it's such an integral part. So I benefited from that as much as it was put on me, if that makes sense. So
for sure. You've played the game. That's essentially it.
Exactly.
You've realized it's a game to be played, and
then you think,
joined in.
Would I be able to travel the way I've traveled? Would I have met my husband if I hadn't? Would I? There's so many things, and you're like, oh, I wouldn't want that. So those are benefits, but in a very twisted way. It's kind of like
it's beneficial at the cost of self.
Yes,
almost. You know, and you don't realize it in the beginning. You just think, oh yeah, I'm moving up the ladder, or I'm doing this thing. But
it's almost like Stockholm syndrome, right? Like where like you end up loving the oppressor.
Yes,
they were taking care of me. They were, you know. It is what it is.
The good black again, you know.
Gosh, the right kind of black. All right.
So what are your thoughts on the British monarchy? Obviously, we've already mentioned Meghan, and we can keep bringing up Lizzy. Especially since, sorry. In fact, sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, I am sorry. I am sorry.
Because, that was, you know what? Okay, no, sorry, I asked you the question. Please, let me know.
Look. It's complicated. They make for great entertainment.
Oh,
I will say that. You know, like, and I think they know that's why the British monarchy still exists, because they create relevance for the British non-empire now, right? Because England was a huge empire, and it's subsequently gotten smaller and smaller. So I think it creates relevance for them. I think tourism for them. I think it helps uphold this idea that English is the best way, the monarchy is the best way. It helps uphold classism. It helps, uphold a lot of these constructs. I think it's a very complicated system. It seems very sort of shady. Not shady. Shady is not the word, but like suspect, just because of the stories that come up. We saw with Princess Diana. We've seen with Meghan Markle. And then what's this prince guy who ran away? Epstein's homie.
Oh, Andrew.
Prince Andrew, like, nepotism at its finest. I think it's shown us that. I think the Queen's passing, like, what people don't understand, you're not dancing because someone is dead. Don't get us wrong. But you really like, how you gonna make me cry over somebody who erased a huge part of my history and culture, or at least represents the ideas of colonization and the erasure of culture that is non-Western. And I think the discussion and this almost like, forget past transgressions and be sympathetic is not afforded to us, but we must afford. This is the thing. Okay. This is the thing.
Yes, go there, Rumbi.
This is the thing about being oppressed. It behooves me. It really mind boggles me how we are supposed to be understanding and sort of,
and grateful,
gracious. I know Michelle, our first lady of America, Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. But why we always gotta go high? Why are we the ones, as the previously oppressed, enslaved, colonized, having to
be the bigger person,
the bigger person? But when we complain about things like, oh, that happened long ago, you guys need to get over it. Y'all get over it. Lizzy's dead.
Yeah.
And then, so
and we didn't need a whole week. Can we just be...
Bruh. People's appointments were cancelled, bruh. Doctors' appointments were cancelled for Lizzy.
And the thing is, okay, now this is what gets me touched, because Australia is obviously cousins with the. So now we actually had a public holiday, to mourn the Adam, and we're like, bruh. Now people are closing their business because they can't afford to have a public holiday thrust upon them.
Yes.
And then the funny thing is, First Nations people in Australia have been campaigning that Australia Day is actually a hurtful day. The day that we celebrate Australia Day is the day that marks when Thomas Cook and his homies came here and took over. So they're like, can you just change the date? I understand now we can't keep talking about the past. Now Australia Day is celebrating being Australian today. So we understand that, but now can we change the date? So it's not reminding us of those atrocities, but it's also at the same time not just a random day we can just celebrate being Australian. And we're just going back and forth, and obviously there's been no change. Then all of a sudden Lizzy dies and it's public holiday on Thursday. It's like, oh, so it's that quick.
Is that
to
easy?
Make a public holiday?
Is that easy? Yeah.
But when people are telling you that this date hurts them, it's just a day, don't worry about it.
Yes.
No, but I'm telling you, it literally hurts me. I'm telling you, I get the sentiment, but do it on a different day, not the day that literally you guys arrived and erased the people,
killed,
it's just
and
So I think what surprised me when she died was how people live with blinkers on. Some people were shocked that not everyone was sad. It was like, no, but do you get why? You know what I mean? It felt like people were like, oh, you're just being mean. And it's like, no. Do you see, as you've just so eloquently put, do you see why this person is a figurehead? It's a double for something else that's not so pleasant to talk about. Even her own jewels that you guys are putting and parading for everyone to come and see Buckingham Palace, those jewels aren't from England. Y'all don't got minds. Give us our jewels back. It's just like, and it's just like, okay, but everything, and then to call them gifts is like, no, sweetie, they were not.
You didn't go. No one came and gave it to you. Let's be
gifts.
Honest. And sorry, so you actually bring up another point, which is my issue. When I frequent museums, galleries in this part of the world, I'm like, why y'all got so many Egyptian things here? Let me explain. Did you ask for them or you took them? Right?
Yeah, right.
It's the same concept. Y'all just took, and then now are making money and culture and history, what, from something that was not yours in the first place.
Not yours. And then you're also spinning it like, oh, you guys can't take care of it. We'll do it for you.
Yes.
It's like, who said?
Who said? Exactly. That's why I understand Michael B. Jordan's character at the beginning of Black Panther, the first installment, when they went and robbed from that thing, because it's also like, bruh, it ain't even yours to begin with. So anyway,
it's going back to where it rightfully belongs. Seriously. I mean, we've obviously touched on this as well. Like, do you feel that it did play a significant role in the erasure of Zimbabwean culture in particular and traditions being
100%.
Colonized?
100%. Yeah. And I think Zimbabweans, we took it and ran with it. Because when I compare Zimbabwe and South Africa has really managed to maintain a lot of its culture. I mean, it's a very big country, very rich culture. But we really were like, oh, I am running with it. Think about this, right? A tradition such as Rora, we've spoken about this. What does the guy wear to the Rora when the negotiations are happening? What is he supposed to wear? A suit jacket. What does that have to do with Zimbabwean culture? A suit jacket.
Yeah.
Where do suits come from? Then they sure as hell and are not Zimbabwe. Do you get what I mean? So I'm
even the notion of a white wedding,
yes,
like really,
exactly,
really,
we really took it, ran with it. The patriarchy. We just love us some of that patriarchy. We really were like, we're gonna take that. That's what we're gonna take, and we're gonna run with it, and we're going to escalate it even more.
Yeah,
just so
classism. Social constructs of the rich, the poor. You're actually pretty right. And also the familiarity, I feel. Like someone would be more familiar with the way the British people run their lives, whereas if you said, okay, let's live, if today we decreed, let's go and live like our great forefathers lived. People will be like, what was that again?
Yes.
Like, like we have not kept in touch with anything. Like we pick and choose what we like.
100%.
We align it to kind of come still under that umbrella of the British way of life.
Yes.
There's so many Zimbabweans in the UK, and this is quite typical. So many Jamaicans as well. So many people tend to go to the country where they were colonized.
Yes.
To look for jobs or to live there. But even that hurts me because they don't offer us easier visas.
Nope.
They don't offer us any benefits. So it's like, okay, you stole from my country. You know that we are where we are because of so many different reasons, but particularly the fact that we now have to conform to your way of life.
Yep.
And now you won't even help me in your country. Like you won't even recognize me.
Unless you are white.
Exactly.
How many people did we grow up with at school who had British and Zimbabwean passports? When people were running away from farm invasions, how quickly were they able to run over to Australia? But I couldn't quickly run over and be like, oh, times are tough, I can't find a job.
Yeah. Or my family doesn't have a foreign account.
Exactly.
So I can't even get a visa.
Exactly. Like it is so blatantly in your face, and the hoops you have to jump to prove that you are a suitable citizen or person whom they can invite into their spaces, non-threatening, law-abiding, and, sort of the right. Hey, yo, don't get me started.
The right
you done got me started, Amanda.
Girl. It's actually quite like, I sometimes just think very simplistic, like, what was in it for us?
Yes.
Like, really, what was in it for us? Because today, nothing. I mean, I'm pulling the fact that I can speak your language as a benefit. Like, hey, how low
can you go? Yeah.
Because
how low can you go?
There is literally no benefit to me. I'm still struggling. Like, I'm even worse off because not only am I struggling, but I've lost my identity.
Yes.
So it's like,
yes. We just need a moment of silence. For those listening, you can tell it makes us feel away. I think understandably so. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I must admit that obviously the death of Queen Elizabeth just brought all these things up to the forefront.
Yes.
But it also brought up a lot of discourse. Like people were discussing it. How does it feel? Like I live in a household with a German, so he doesn't really get colonization. I mean, they colonized, I think they colonized Namibia. And then he's just like, but it's not like he doesn't live under that umbrella, So for him to see me, like literally when it was announced, I looked at the TV and I was like, oh, okay. What else happened today? Like,
what else is new?
And part of me, my heart sank because I was thinking, the next 2 weeks, this just going to be the only news. People will be dying in Yemen or Syria. I won't see anything about that. We'll just be seeing the Queen, especially in a Commonwealth country, which I still live in, Australia. I knew it was just going to be clickbait for the next. What did Meghan do? She didn't do this. She didn't walk like that. She didn't.
But she did look fly. Let's put that out there.
Girl. But that's the thing. It's like, it just felt so disappointing that like he doesn't, I think people had not really considered how it feels for us.
Yeah.
And also even having camaraderie with Indians, because they also felt the same, with Jamaicans, with
the
people
Irish,
from different places.
The Irish
Twitter!
Yo, that was... literally saw people doing like step dancing. I don't know, Irish step dance. I don't know what they call it.
The line dancing.
Line dancing in front of Buckingham Palace. I said, y'all have no shine. Y'all are
Lizzy's gone. Yeah. We laugh, but we're laughing out of trauma, bruh. Those people are dancing that line dance like Ayanda Satan, like seriously.
And I'm scared for. I don't know what kind of King Charles is gonna be. That's a whole other.
It's gonna be a different era.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, and I couldn't relate to people who were lining up for hours and hours. I was just like, I don't.
I actually don't even know when she was actually buried. To be fair, which day? I don't know where. Like, I honestly didn't care. But as you can see, it's literally because of what it stands for, what it means.
Yeah.
But on a real though, how do we as Zimbabweans, as colonized societies and countries, how can we ensure that our culture and traditions are not erased as a result? How do we keep them intact? Because you see, the question would be, many people have asked, should Rora still be something that is practiced? Many people are like, no, it should not be for the many reasons which are difficult about Rora, but that is also a tradition.
Yeah.
So
but I think Rora has been westernized, which is that's why the problem is the problem. Because traditionally that's not how we used to do it. It wasn't about monetary, like gain. Show me this, show me that. It was about, joining two families with the little you have.
Yeah.
It's okay. You don't even the way especially Zimbabweans do it, where you owe for as long as you owe. It's not like you have to finish everything on that one day.
Yeah.
So to always have that tie to that family, right? So I find it's because we're mixing and matching. That's the problem. We're trying to
pick and
choose and make it work. And it's like, I think the only way to keep it intact is, yes, obviously we shouldn't oppress people. We shouldn't make people feel like they don't have a voice. But at the same time, I love seeing the spin that Rora in particular has had, the way we're dressing. A good 5 years ago, 10 years ago, people would never be caught in traditional. And the funny thing is, that's not even our traditional wear, but anyway, that's a conversation for a different day.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're wearing African or ethnic or whatever you want to call it, materials, inspired materials is a blessing, is exciting to see. The fact that families are actually acknowledging that if you can't afford a white wedding or don't want to do one, that you can just do that, and that actually stands for something. Because there was a while there where white wedding was it, Aurora was like, oh yeah, by the way, you have to do that kind of thing. So I think the only way we can ensure that we keep them intact is to take pride in how we are. We'll never go back to the way our great forefathers were.
No.
But we do have to find a space where we can be proud and not just run with the way the British do things, but actually take stock of who we are as Zimbabweans. I love seeing all these books you shouted up before. People were writing books for Shona and Dewele, all those things, because now we're documenting, which also will help. We need to do those little steps, those little things that instill the next generation will now be like, I can speak the language, even though I'm miles away. Because again, Zimbabweans will also spread all over as well, which makes it difficult.
For sure.
I think that's the only way. What do you reckon?
100% documentation. Because I think of like the stories my grandma used to tell us about Tsuro Nagudo or, these folk tales. It literally was passed on by word of mouth. And if we only have word of mouth, of course, it's going to disintegrate. And understanding relation, even how you call different relatives, bruh. You documenting that, because it's like, there's this is Ningi, so-and-so. It's so complex how we conduct certain traditions, like why Kuroa Goa, what is that? What is the significance of that? So many different things that are kind of just done according to family and fumbled over. I think to tell our stories, to write books, to have these conversations, in film, in education, like in so many ways we need to maintain this. I think we've touched on it though already, is how being colonized shaped you as a person.
No, for sure. It has. I think there was a time, I would admit it right here, right now, when we were younger, especially for me, where I took pride in the British way. I took pride that I could I was a sala, I could speak, good English. I could do the etiquette thing. I can set a dining table. I can do this. I can do that. Flower arranging, I'm there. Like you said, the fact that I took pride in things that were not my own. Yes, flower arranging. Yes, dinner sets. Yes, hosting a dinner or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was disparaging of my own culture.
Yes.
Where it was like, oh, no, I don't speak Shona. Or, oh my gosh, I pronounce it this way. Like, when you look at it now, you're like, wow, I needed to grow up and I needed to understand and I needed to... But obviously, you do it when you're a child because you want to fit in.
Yes.
And I think it has shaped me as a person because now I can take accountability for that and I'm making strides to reconnect with, even with the foods. We've talked about this on a food episode, even with music, even with to try, you look at the way Nigeria has totally put Yoruba and Igbo and all their languages on the forefront, because Burna Boy is like, I'm not going to not sing in my language. You know what I mean? So whereas Zim artists, there's a time when you want to sing in English because you want to appeal to. So I think we're seeing that shift happen where it's like we're reclaiming. And I think as we do it on an individual level and as a group, I think it's going to be good for our future.
For sure. And I completely relate to what you said of growing up and thinking, wanting to see more refined and more English and more, making fun of those who are different. And I think what helped me was living in Ghana, because they're also very proud of their culture, and seeing how they did it differently. That taught me a lot, like growing up and seeing that. And I think now also being confident in my Blackness. I've had so many times, like being here, people questioning, why do you do this? Why is your hair like that? Or just being proud to do it the way I want, or wear my hair in different ways and saying it's okay. Or, it comes into different things of different parts of who you are. I do this because this is what I like to do. I don't do this because I don't like to do this. And, I think we are having to unlearn a lot of those ideals and relearn like what it means to be truly proud and Zimbabwean and also Pan-African in ways. So yeah. What do you admire the most about people who have been colonized?
Probably our resilience, because we put up with a lot, child. I probably would have to say the duality of our existence.
Yes.
I have to know how to navigate both spaces, you know, and navigate them well.
Yes.
In order to survive in this world. That is the truth. I can't change my past. And also it's something thrust upon me, or upon us as a people, I should say.
Yeah.
And the fact that we can survive through it all. We're just making it work.
I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. And we really, really have. And also our humanity, like we've shown a lot of grace to those who've oppressed us. Sometimes to our detriment, I think. But if you meet anyone who comes from a marginalized or previously oppressed or discriminated society, you hats off, because the things you have to endure just to survive, and then to also want to thrive in these environments. It's
and to not apologize for your existence.
You know. Wow, what an episode. The person that comes top of mind for Zim shout out is Takunda on Instagram and on TikTok.
Yes.
Firstly, her fits. How long does it take her to record her reels and her TikToks? Because she be doing outfit changes, and not just mediocre. She's like coming through. Yeah. And how to
not layering, like completely doing a completely different look.
Exactly. Like she is bomb. Love her. Like I want to live in her wardrobe. Her suit collection is just like to die for. Honestly, major shout out to Takunda, because she killing the game. I think that's easily. I swear I'm always in her DMs like, oh no, I need that fit. And so badass about it. And she has fun with her TikToks and reels. And it's just so lovely
for sure
to see someone like
when I
her
actually
like that.
first saw, I didn't even think she was Zimbabwean. Obviously, you see the name, you're like, oh, she must be.
Yeah.
Because this typically we are not known to dress well as a nation. We talked about this in the fashion episode. So it's lovely to see. She's amazing, and she knows how to fit to her body as well.
Exactly.
Because I think a lot of some of the stuff she then says she alters or she's made.
Yes.
So it's fit. It's like some of the stuff is custom, and she makes you realize how good, when it's a suit or whatever, how good it is to custom things to you.
Yes. And
not
tailor.
Just wear something that's stock standard and tailor. Yeah.
That I need to get that tailor money or get the tailor skill, because I was not listening enough during Mrs. Chiremba's fashion and fabrics lessons.
Sorry, my Chiremba.
Sorry, Miss Chiremba. Sorry. Shout out to Takunda. We love your style. Keep killing it and showing us how it's done. One day I want to be like you. But yeah, thanks, Amanda, for this episode. It was deep, like we said. No holds barred. We going straight in.
People should let us know their thoughts, because I know this can be touchy.
Yeah.
But this is our take. And you're obviously more than welcome to ask us more about it, to give us your takes.
Yeah.
Because we know that this topic, it's layered.
It's so layered. Yes, please hit us up. We're on Instagram at It's Layered, Twitter at It's Layered Pod. We're on Facebook. You can email us, itslayeredpod@gmail.com, and submit your questions and comments. We will be responding, I think, on our final episode with questions and answers on everything that you guys sent through. So please do not be shy. Send voice notes even. We are here for it.
Want to hear it all.
Exactly. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, no.